Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we are lucky enough to have Kyle Shafer on with us. Kyle is the founder of Zera Music Company. I'll let him go into a little more about what that is. It sounds like a really great company that he's got going there, and he's had some success with it. So, Kyle, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little more about you and about what it is that your company does?
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Nick. So as I was finishing up my music education degree at the University of North Texas, I started this business with a heart for wanting just to see transformation take place in not only students taking music lessons, but also instructors and holding instructors to a bar, to a certain level. And so in 2017, we got started. And we thought that it would be cool to do in-home music lessons, like the Amazon of music lessons. And the next question was, like, how far reaching do we want to go? Do we just want to focus in like the Louisville Flower Mound area where I was living? Or do we want to spread out across DFW? And I started posting on Indeed, kind of like job openings, and people from all over DFW started applying. And so I guess you could say what kind of made it a unique challenge getting started was that my degree was in music education and not necessarily business. But I had some like entrepreneurial instincts, if you will, and just started saying yes to everything. So people would say, well, what about makeups? And I'd be like, yeah, of course we do makeups. Or like, what about billing? And it's like, well, billing, man, here's how we do that. And obviously things have changed over the last 8 years, but even people applying in random parts of the Metroplex, like even going down into Fort Worth, it was just like, sure, we'll hire you down there and we'll start marketing in that area. And anyway, so over the past 8 years, that has just kind of been what we've been doing.
Well, that's awesome, because with the internet, you can do that. Before, you needed to probably physically be there fairly often, but now, I had a daughter do guitar lessons, and she did it. This is well after COVID. She did it all on Zoom. And at first I'm like, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, I don't have to drive, sit there for 30, 45 minutes.
That's right.
And then drive back home. I'm like, I think I like this. And she went pretty well with it. I mean, she did almost 2 years doing when she was younger, she didn't have her own laptop at that time, but get on my wife or my laptop and do her guitar lessons. So, great model.
And we do offer online as well. Like COVID, actually, we learned a lot during COVID. We were forced to learn a lot over COVID about online lessons. And so we rolled those out. And it was one of those things where since COVID, we just offer it as we offer in-home lessons where we come to you, but we also offer online if availability is best that way. Like if an instructor in your area doesn't have availability that matches yours. But we do always say, like, there is nothing like having someone come in your home.
Well, somebody can touch I've thought the same thing. Somebody can help you put your hand where it needs to be on the strings or whatever the instrument is. Yeah, I would imagine. I have zero musical talent, but my daughters all love to sing. A couple of them play instruments. My wife can sing, but when I start singing, they're like, shh, no. You keep your voice down, so that's fine. It's awesome. I love music, though. I would imagine there's quite a bit of competition in the music lesson world. What is something that helped you set yourself apart from some of the others?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I noticed around the Metroplex as I looked at competitors was it felt like a lot of the models just had to do with hiring people that just had a lot of experience and didn't really need maybe this isn't as a charitable way of saying it, but didn't need babysitting or didn't need let me try again. As I was looking around the Metroplex, it felt like a lot of our competitors did a really good job of hiring experienced instructors that maybe didn't need to could kind of have their own teaching philosophies or
maybe they were good musicians but not teachers. Did they maybe need the teacher?
Well, I mean, even experienced teachers, there are so many teaching philosophies out there, but I just felt like I wanted to be a company that when you came to us and you were matched with an instructor, you knew exactly what you were getting. So we have tried to kind of host a singular teaching philosophy, generally speaking, where we feel like music reading, like learning the language of music, is something that's very valuable and kind of, could you say, like intangible? Like there's like we just feel like it's the best way to learn an instrument. And so
Okay.
as I was looking out at competitors, like it felt like a lot of people were teaching by rote. And what that means is it's like, hey, repeat after me. And the teacher would
Okay.
play, da na 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 na, and then it's like, okay, now you play that, da na 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 na. And sure, you can apply that concept to like a pretty complex and pretty impressive song, and really quickly, like in a matter of weeks, you can get an unknowing, unmusical student to play a really impressive song. And to a non-musical parent, it's like, oh my gosh, this teacher's incredible. My daughter is already playing for Elise. Like that's a classic that it takes years for some people to learn. And like, wow, this teacher must be really great. But then they quickly realize after 2 years of taking lessons, their kiddo can play 3 songs. And we really
Nothing new. They can't
believe,
open a music book up and play
yeah,
another song with a
that's
little bit
right.
of practice of that song. But
That's right. And so that's something that I was really passionate about from the start. And so like when I jump on the phone with families, specifically parents who maybe just don't have a musical background, I will say to them, hey, we teach our kids how to read books because we know that whenever they can read English or read a book, they can read any book that's ever been written. The reality is, whenever you have this truly impressive thing of learning for Elise in a couple months, what you're doing is you're basically it's the equivalent of telling your kid a story and them being able to retell that one story. And
yeah, not being able
obviously,
to pick up thousands or millions of books or music
yes,
pieces. And that's awesome because then you could even go to different genre, I don't know, rock to country to classic,
yes,
whatever the different is. And
yes,
the music's the notes are and I'm not a music person, but
sure.
my kids, like I said, my kids are, but the being able to read that music translates across all music
and,
genres.
and all instruments. So not only
Oh,
not only is it valuable for learning any song that's ever been written, but also once you can read music, that applies to every instrument. So like literally, it's like a gateway to unlocking everything. Yeah,
that's awesome. All three of my daughters went through our church. They have a big music program, and so
yeah,
they knew they could read music. So when they did start guitar and piano, I felt like they had a bit of an advantage because they already understood a
yes,
big chunk of the music notes. So that's awesome.
yeah.
As you're going through, you're getting your business started. Was there something that you felt came easy to you that others might have found challenging?
Mm. I mean, I just feel like honestly, what kickstarted even thinking about starting a business was I took this like personality test called I think it's like 16 personalities. And apparently I am an ESTJ. And it on 16personalities.com, which I wish I had like a referral code or something. But yeah, on that, like after I took the little quiz, it like told me what careers I should consider. And at this point in my like education, I was still in college. I was on track to become a high school choir director. And as soon as I took this quiz, I don't remember why I took it, but it said, "Have you looked into entrepreneurship or business management?" And it felt like the light bulb kind of went off. It was like, oh my gosh, like yeah, like there have been different parts of my life up until as a 21-year-old at this point, or at that point, that I was like, yeah, I guess I do kind of think, I view the world through this special lens of entrepreneurial, like I said, instincts or whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know. The easiest thing for me, or I guess the most fun thing for me, if I could even tweak your question, is like, or has been over the last 8 years, like just figuring out things as I go. Certainly, there have been moments where it's overwhelming or probably not the easiest route. Like if I were to go back to school and get my MBA, I'm sure there are so many things that I'd be like, man, I didn't implement that idea until year 6 or year 7 that would have
Sure.
catapulted progress forward. And like obviously there are some days where it's like it's not growing as fast as I would have hoped, but based on my like relationship with the Lord, I would say like it's very easy for me to come to terms with the fact that like a slow growth doesn't mean bad growth.
Sure.
It's
Maybe
like
it's what was right for you. for your
Yeah,
situation.
like that's right. For all I know, if we got 200 students in the first couple months, we just wouldn't have been able to handle it. It would have been a bad product to those families. We would have
You had
had,
bad experience, bad reviews.
yes, yep, and we would have had to learn that way. And so I would say that the Lord's sovereignty has been very present in the growth of our company, or like the slow growth of our company, because there are things that kind of open up. It feels like every 6 months or every year that it's like, man, I'm so glad that we're doing this
He
work
prepared you for,
now.
yeah.
Yes, so that as we continue to grow in our like marketing skills or marketing depth, you could say, we have so much more content to kind of expand on and to showcase, I guess you could say, and yeah, all that.
That's awesome. Well, it's great you have that perspective, not to be bitter or irritated you didn't get there. That hey, there's a plan, and I don't know what it is, and
That's right.
we're going to keep kind of moving forward with it. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
If any of our listeners wants to try to get better at something, be maybe self improvement, business management, anything, do you have any suggestions or tips that they could use?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I feel like I've tried a whole bunch of different things, whether it's like the people that I follow on LinkedIn, or whether it's like the podcasts that I rotate through. It has been hard for me, again, I've already showed my hand as a believer in Jesus. But I find that I have like a rotation through, whether it's like a theological podcast to like, help me in my faith, rotating between that and then business, making sure that, whether it's undiagnosed ADHD or whatever, but I feel like if I don't check myself, I can go really deep into a lot of like
Get down a
random.
rabbit hole that just keeps
Yes.
going, right?
Yeah. So for me, it's been like being intentional about what I'm consuming, and not just saying I'm going to live and die by this business, but this is just a part of my life. So anyway, rotating through those different voices. Having a foundation in Jesus obviously has been super important, and has shaped every ounce of this company. But yeah, random voices that might not even be Christians, but just have a business background. Like I don't necessarily recommend listening to like this voice regularly, but like Gary, don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but Gary V, he's very present online. And like I remember I randomly listened to a YouTube video or maybe even just like a Spotify podcast of his early on that said like, hey, your business should be able to function without you. You should be working on your business rather than in your business. And so that was really impactful for me,
Eye
and like,
opening.
yeah, like helped grow. And then there were times where I invested in like coaching, and like coaching has helped me kind of even think through like, as someone who doesn't have a business background per se, or at least 8 years ago I didn't. It was really helpful for me to see at like the 3 or 4 year mark. Hey, based on like, hey, coach, based on my day to day, can I just tell you what I do every single work day? Am I wasting my time? Are there things that I should be doing that I'm not doing? You know, my head is in this place with this kind of element of the business. Like, am I in the right spot? That kind of thing. Another one that was really helpful for me was Story Brand by Donald Miller. Are you familiar with that?
I've got the book. I need to read it. Yeah, I've had that
Sure.
one recommended to me a couple times.
He also has like he has a lot of content online too. But I remember listening to his podcasts and just talking about the different parts of the business, and like how the way that you should sell is like through the lens of story. Which as a believer, I know that well, right?
Hmm.
Like we're very much shaped by story and the stories I've been told for millennia. And so that has been really helpful in even crafting kind of where we're at right now, which I'd love to get more into. But if you have like,
Yeah, no, we've got. I mean, anything you want to share, we'd love to hear more. And
yeah,
the next question may
yeah,
open that up. So, what we'd like to find out is what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
yeah. So I kind of have touched on it, but like not having the business background has led to a lot of like sometimes eye-opening moments of like, shoot, if I would have known this a couple years ago, I probably could have saved a lot of time. or maybe we could have grown faster than we have. But the biggest thing right now is a couple projects that we're working on, just as far as like, it feels like we sometimes have two customers. Our first customer is obviously well, maybe not. I guess the order doesn't really matter. It's kind of like the chicken or the egg, but like we need instructors and we need students. And so what is our unique like value proposition for both of those, clients, I guess you could call them.
Yeah,
And
and they're
so
different. I would
that's
assume
right.
that your marketing or almost everything's
Yes.
different for both of them.
Totally. And for me, like I just I really want things to be genuine. I don't just want to view these people as numbers. I really do want transformation to happen. And so I had this one coach who actually in this past year helped me see like, hey, if you were to identify like the transformation that happens in a student at Zera, what would that transformation be, or what even a desired outcome for them? And then I was able to kind of do like take it a couple steps in a different direction and say, well, what about the transformation I want to see in an instructor? Why would an instructor work at Zera? And identifying those things that we desire, and then that also informs all the work we do on the back end. And so we actually do have these what we call the signature solutions that we have for our instructors, but also for our students. Actually, just this morning, I was recording a video about like the third step in our 9-step transformation process for our students, that we just think is possible. Regardless of what instructor a student is paired with, we feel like these outcomes are possible for our students. And so, if I could just put them in a nutshell, I would say for our students, we feel like whether they know it or not, a student that starts taking lessons with one of our instructors is probably coming in as like a passive participant, whether that means their parent is making them do it, or whether it means they just have no idea what the next year or 5 years is going to look like. And we really just do feel like that the biggest transformation, the largest outcome that is possible, is that these students turn into empowered learners and leaders. And so that's kind of like
That's awesome.
our bird's eye view of our students. And then for our instructors, we just feel like whether they're coming in as just a talented musician that doesn't have a lot of teaching experience, or whether they have a teaching experience and they have just had a rough go of it, like whether they've just been managed poorly or whether they just haven't been resourced well. We want to be a place that resources well, and not only holds instructors to a certain level, but also resources them appropriately so that they can get to a place where they are a thriving teacher. And so whether that means, taking over a lot of the back end stuff for them, or like I said, resourcing and developing their teaching skills, that is kind of our desired outcome for our instructors.
That's awesome. Well, and I think you become a mentor or coach for your not only your students, but more so for your instructors.
That's right.
And you hit on that, because I think having a mentor / coach is so important as you get, especially I'm in similar. I was in healthcare with zero business background, but moved to commercial real estate about 10 years ago. And I'd never had a business class before. So it was, big learning curve, but stepping in, joining some mentorship groups, some smaller masterminds that help me, kind of down that path, because you're going to learn. You can either learn it with a mentor helping hold your hand with mistakes they've already made, or learn from somebody else, or you're going to learn them on your own.
That's right.
And grow from them. So I think having a coach or a mentor is so important. And it's what I love hearing about is like you're playing that role for your instructors, probably even some of your students too, but more with the instructors, that you're helping them be better instructors.
Yeah, that's right. And honestly, if I could even go a little further with that, it's like I will say a lot of like the business minds that I have like received content from, or even some business coaching that I've received, those things like have obviously helped a lot with business decisions. But honestly, I think the biggest thing that I've downplayed in the last, I don't know how many minutes we've been talking, is honestly the element of like leadership and like what I would say is discipleship.
Yeah.
The difference there, I think, would be discipleship is like empowering others to become leaders and take ownership. We see that all throughout scriptures, I would say,
Sure.
and how Jesus taught his disciples. But I would say another huge influential mentor in my life is my pastor. I mean, I work a little bit in music ministry at our church as well, and I've benefited from a pastor who has led me well, and then being able to turn around and say, wait, the way he leads me, as I'm maybe like leading worship on a Sunday morning, I can turn around and lead my team in that exact same way. To where they feel empowered, to where they feel like they can take accountability, like to where they think they see that they can take ownership and really just flourish, you know.
That's so awesome. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Well, it sounds like things are going very well in your business. It's a lot of people start having more success. They start looking towards your future and potentially getting involved or creating some passive income to either enhance or supplement their income. What are your thoughts on passive income?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I would say like in the last 8 years, that is always kind of on my mind. Like I even said, I quoted like Gary Vee, like talking about business functioning without you. What I have seen that though, like how I have seen that in Zera specifically is playing out through really just my role changing. So I would say a lot of the like hands-on stuff that happens day to day has kind of changed in the past couple of years into more like how do I empower my employees? So
Sure.
not just my contractors that teach, but my employees that are handling our student acquisition, and my employee that is handling our instructor development and stuff like that. How can I be, how can my time look more like empowering those people, and that sort of thing. I have so many thoughts on this. I feel like my philosophy about passive income changes every week. I mean, there are times when I'm like, you see those people on social media that are like, if you just have 5 Airbnbs, you can just live at like, live at the beach, and those things are
Yeah.
tempting. I think they definitely discount the amount of work and loopholes that are required to get to a point like that. And so I honestly, yeah, I have fought those urges to kind of pivot in the last 8 years, even as I've experienced the slow growth. It's like, if do I need to be doing 5 different things? Do I need to be starting 5 other businesses? And so I don't know. I feel like I have those reality checks every couple months where it's like, those checks and balances of
Yeah.
am I spending my time wisely?
Well, it's good to review what's going on, to kind of have hey, am I going the right direction? I
That's
think,
right.
and you prayerfully make that decision
Yeah.
each time.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, should I be going a different direction? Because maybe sometimes you should be.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Yep.
definitely a hard balance, hard to come to conclusions sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, like for me, it's been mostly like about identifying what do I want to be doing. We have 5 kids, and my wife
Oh,
and I do.
wow.
And so for me, typically that is kind of where my head goes, is how can I be actually having an impact on my employees and my team and our students, while also kind of balancing this desire to be with them as much as possible. And I will say that that has been something that I feel like I have done best in the last 8 years, is having those boundaries, work boundaries. Obviously, you hear all those founder stories of like, I was working 90-hour work weeks for the first 5 years, and then it finally took off so I could kind of take the pedal off.
Back
And
off.
I just kind of made this decision early on that I wasn't gonna do that. I didn't want to think back on like for what? I sacrificed those 5 years for what? If my treasures are eternal and not necessarily here on this earth, like, I would the
Well, what a
trade-off
good
that
perspective. Yeah.
yeah, because the trade-off there is I missed those 5 years with my wife, or I missed those 5 years with my kids, and everybody, like there's grace, obviously. Like if I don't know your story as far as how your workload and everything like that. Everybody has their own like convictions, which is fine. But my conviction early on was, I'm going to do my best to keep a very fine line of being done at this time. And I like, if my wife was sitting here next to me, she would definitely say, well, there were times where you did have to take that customer service call at 9 p.m. or, you did have to work that Saturday for an hour or two to make sure that you met with your instructors or whatever. But all things considered, I never scheduled anything after a certain time.
And that's awesome. And sticking to it. But if that's especially early on, you are the runner of the business. You've got to fill all those roles at times, and that's great that you kept it in check as much as you could. That's very, very neat. So, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in the throes of recital prep. We have recitals every December and June. And so we're in the middle of that. But other than that, I mean, the biggest thing, like I kind of hinted at earlier, was kind of just rolling out our signature solution and getting it before our people. We spent a lot of time, me and my staff, like thinking through these things and seeing like we don't just want these words and these transformational steps to just be like fluff, because who gives really good fluff? AI, ChatGPT. We want this to be a human thing that our students and our teachers are actually experiencing. And so I would say, like, as we have, finalized those things, now it's a matter of rolling these out to our students. So I've showed all of our families, hey, here's a graphic. These are the things that we want you to see is possible if you stick with this. And then now I'm just like kind of rolling out all 9 of those steps, like in video formats, and like just kind of saying like, hey, are you guys experiencing this? Because if you're not, like, bring it to our attention. Like, we want this to be an easy litmus test for you to be able to say, actually, yeah, like I do see that transformation happening. And then, yeah, for us right now, honestly, the biggest project on my plate right now is what it looks like to roll it out to our instructors. There's things that we have that are active and ongoing when it comes to supporting our instructors. And I would say checking off those boxes of those 9 steps that we have for our instructor transformation. But just making sure that is kind of maybe what we're leading with whenever we're looking to get more instructors, like, hey, here's why you should come work here. And then it's kind of a game of like bringing it privately to each instructor right now and saying like, hey, are you feeling this? Because if you're not, if any of these 9 steps you feel like is just fluff, like let me point you to where I feel like you should be feeling it. And if you're not, let's tweak it, because I don't want it to be fluff. I want it to be a real experience. So
that's good that you're open to another. Hey, let's look at this. If it's not hitting like we want it to be,
yes,
is it something we're not doing, something you're not getting? And let's being open to for some improvement is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing tips and insights and with us and our listeners with what you do. If people would like to connect with you and find out more about your business, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, I would say instructors, like potential instructors that want to work with us, like can go to, if you just Google Indeed Zera Music Company, you can kind of see all the active listings that we have there, job listings. And then if you're a student out there or a family or a parent out there that wants to get your kids signed up in DFW, you can just go to our website, zeramusic.co, Zera.
Music. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in today to the Flex Forward podcast. Be sure and like and share and pass it on to anybody else that you think might enjoy the podcast. Thanks again. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.